this magazine we tackle our first terrain project, essentially just some ruins made up with some cardboard, very simple things. I lost the footage of it. Nothing too complicated on these ruins, so I've put it together into a little montage. Apologies for the sound quality on this part, the sound file became corrupt and I only had the camera audio to fall back on. Here we go, let's cut out some pieces of card. One thinner piece of card 10cm by 10cm and two pieces of thicker card 9cm by 7.5cm. With the thicker pieces, let's cut the tops to make them look a little bit like a collapsed stone wall. I apply enough super glue gel to hold real ruins together and wait a few moments for it to dry. Onto painting, I use some Stonewall Grey applied through the airbrush. Looking back, I wish I'd used a darker grey, but I still like this colour. It took a couple of coats to give good coverage. Onto the green using a simple flat green from Vallejo. I'm quickly drying that with my airdryer. With that dry, we have our first simple ruins. To be honest, for 10 minutes work I actually quite like these ruins, and I like the overspray from the green, it makes it look a little bit like moss growing up the ruins. Now we've built those cardboard ruins, let's bring those up to date. I'm a big fan of Blender, I love sculpting in there, I love 3D modelling, so I've moulded up 4 different types of ruins for us to print out. Each one I've done in different styles, varying different levels of decay. If you want to get your own copy of these ruins and print them off, consider supporting me on Patreon, where I'll be making all the 3D models that I create throughout the entire series available. That's 91 magazines, we should get a lot of terrain to print out from those. It's important to undercoat after 3D printing the resin. It doesn't hold the paint particularly well, and the black is going to form the basis of our stone wall colour anyway. I'm going to use a simple dry brush technique using that same Stonewall Grey. You can see here using a cheap makeup brush and applying a few layers. For the base I use a thin foam and glued on a square of static grass paper. Using way too much super glue gel again, I stick the walls together and onto the base. Cutting out a rougher edge on the base, applying Mod Podge onto the edges where I can then sprinkle on some more static grass. A few flowers and tufts of grass. Along with painting the exposed edge with some flat green. I put together a slight alternative, gluing some more ruins onto a cardboard base, leaving enough of a gap here for one model just to fit through, and applying some earth texture as a base. Highlighting up that earth texture with a light covering of bone white. I don't often get to use my static grass applicator. I apply some Mod Podge and a coating of Army Painted Battlefield Flock. I did a couple of layers to add some height to the grass in places. And as you can see, on the battlefield, these look pretty good.